Welcome back to English Active Listening, everyone. I'm Alyssa, and today we're embarking on a fascinating journey to unlock true English fluency through a technique called shadowing. If you've ever felt that familiar sting of frustration, like your English just isn't quite flowing naturally, or if you struggle to make your words sound less like a textbook and more like a real conversation, then this episode is genuinely designed with you in mind. We're not just going to talk about shadowing, we're going to experience it together. Our focus will be laser sharp on achieving clarity, mastering natural flow, and truly embodying those wonderfully human-like expressions that make English sound so alive. This isn't merely about repeating sounds. It's about breathing life into the language, making it your own. So, what exactly is this magical technique we call shadowing? Imagine yourself as a linguistic echo, repeating what you hear almost the very instant you hear it. You're not just saying the words, you're meticulously mimicking the speaker's unique intonation, how their voice rises and falls, their rhythm, their precise speed, and even those subtle yet crucial pauses. It's like being a highly attuned, sophisticated parrot, but in the most empowering way imaginable. The true brilliance of shadowing lies in its ability to engage multiple facets of your brain simultaneously. Your listening comprehension sharpens. Your speaking muscles get an intense workout. And, almost without you realizing it, you're processing complex grammar and expanding your vocabulary, all within a natural, living context. It's the perfect bridge, you see, between the passive act of just hearing English and the active, dynamic process of speaking it fluently. Think about these moments when you're deeply engrossed in a conversation with a native English speaker. Your ears are doing so much more than simply registering individual words. They're picking up on how entire sentences gracefully link together, where the emphasis subtly falls to convey meaning, and even the tiny emotional inflections in their voice. Shadowing compels you to reproduce every one of those intricate nuances. It's an incredibly potent method for training your mouth, your tongue, and your brain to collaborate seamlessly in English, transforming your internal thoughts into fluid, spoken words. Today, we're going to meticulously dissect how to perform shadowing with maximum effectiveness. We'll then immediately transition into practical application, practicing with authentic, real-life conversation examples. Finally, we'll discuss practical, actionable strategies for seamlessly weaving shadowing into your daily routine, ensuring you reap its immense benefits. Get ready to awaken and invigorate your English speaking muscles. Before we plunge headfirst into our practice exercises, let's take a moment to establish the bedrock principles that underpin truly effective shadowing. This isn't a mindless rote exercise. No, there's a profound, intentional strategy at play. The very first cornerstone is to choose your audio sources wisely. This isn't merely important, it's absolutely critical. For shadowing, you crave clear, natural, everyday speech. It's best to steer clear of highly formal academic lectures or overly technical content, especially when you're just beginning your shadowing journey. Instead, seek out audio that mimics genuine human interaction. Think about conversational podcasts, for instance. They are often brimming with authentic dialogue, those natural hesitations we all make, and a treasure trove of common idiomatic expressions. Interviews are another fantastic option, offering dynamic back-and-forth exchanges. Or consider vlogs and daily life videos, where people simply chat about their day or recount a specific experience. This kind of content is often gold for shadowing. Even select scenes from movies or TV shows can be excellent, as long as the dialogue isn't excessively fast-paced or laden with very strong, unfamiliar accents for your current proficiency level. The golden rule here is that the language you choose should sound like something you would genuinely use or hear in a real-life situation. It needs to possess that unmistakable human touch. Secondly, and this is a common pitfall to avoid, start small and gradually build up your stamina. Resist the urge to dive in and try to shadow a 10-minute monologue right from the get-go. That's a recipe for frustration. Instead, begin with very short phrases, then progress to full sentences, and eventually brief paragraphs. Perhaps a mere 30-second clip is all you need to start. Remember, the overarching goal is always quality over sheer quantity. If you're constantly straining to keep up with something too lengthy or too rapid, you'll inevitably become overwhelmed and miss those precious, subtle nuances. It is always far more effective to perfectly shadow a few meticulously chosen sentences than to clumsily attempt to shadow an entire minute of speech. Our third crucial principle is to focus intently on intonation and rhythm, not just the individual words. This is precisely where those human-like expressions truly come alive. When native speakers engage in conversation, their voices are a dynamic symphony, rising and falling, speeding up and slowing down, emphasizing certain words with delightful precision. This is the very essence of intonation and rhythm, and it carries immense meaning and emotion. If you simply repeat words in a flat, monotone voice, you'll inadvertently sound robotic and unnatural. Shadowing helps you deeply internalize these vital patterns. Pay meticulous attention to rising and falling tones. Notice how questions almost invariably have a rising intonation, while declarative statements typically end with a falling tone. Observe the stressed words. Which words does the speaker truly emphasize? More often than not, these are the content words, the nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that carry the core meaning of the sentence. And finally, be keenly aware of the pauses. Where does the speaker take a natural breath? Where do they hesitate for a moment? These seemingly small details are utterly natural components of spoken language. The fourth foundational point might seem counterintuitive at first. Don't fret about understanding every single word initially. The primary objective of your early shadowing sessions isn't deep analytical comprehension. No, it's about training your mouth and/or ears in tandem. You are primarily concentrating on the sound of the language, its musicality. If you interrupt your flow to analyze every unfamiliar word, you'll inevitably lose the crucial rhythm and connection. You can always go back and research specific vocabulary later. Think of it much like learning to play a musical instrument. You meticulously practice the notes and rhythm first, allowing your muscle memory to develop before you truly begin to interpret the profound emotion of the piece. Finally, and this is an optional but highly recommended suggestion for refining your pronunciation, use a mirror. If you feel comfortable, watching your own mouth movements in a mirror as you shadow can provide invaluable visual feedback. You can observe how your lips form sounds, the position of your tongue, and how your mouth shapes itself for various vowels and consonants. Compare your movements to what you imagine a native speaker's mouth would be doing. This unique kinesthetic feedback is incredibly potent for self-correction. All right, we've thoroughly explored the theory, But now, the exciting part. It's time to put it all into practice. I've meticulously prepared a few short, authentic conversation snippets. We'll navigate through them together. I'll play a brief clip, then I'll perform the shadowing myself. And immediately afterward, I'll provide a dedicated moment for you to shadow it. Please don't be shy. Speak out loud with confidence. The more you vocalize, the more rapidly and effectively you'll improve. Let's begin with simple greetings and questions. We'll ease into it with something comfortably familiar. As you listen and repeat, pay very close attention to the friendly, welcoming tone and that subtle yet distinct upward intonation that often graces the end of questions in English. Hey, how's your day going so far? Hey, how's your day going so far? Now, notice something interesting there. How going often sounds almost like goin' in natural, rapid speech. It's a very common reduction in everyday conversation. And did you catch that slight lift, that gentle rise, at the end of so far? That's the kind of subtle detail we're aiming to capture. Let's try another one, building on that. Not bad, thanks. Just catching up on some emails. Not bad, thanks. Just catching up on some emails. Here, in catching up on, observe how those words aren't pronounced distinctly and separately. Instead, they flow together seamlessly. It's not catching up on, but rather a smooth, connected stream of sound. Feel that natural, effortless rhythm as you say it. Moving on to expressing opinions and agreement. Here, we'll try something with a bit more emotional expression. Really listen for how opinions are delivered, how conviction or enthusiasm comes through in the speaker's voice. Oh, I totally agree. That movie was absolutely brilliant. Oh, I totally agree. That movie was absolutely brilliant. Did you notice how totally agree carries a strong emphasis? Almost a burst of energy, and absolutely brilliant is delivered with such a strong, positive, almost soaring intonation. You can practically hear the excitement bubbling in the voice. When you shadow this, try your best to truly match that same level of enthusiasm. Yeah, I know what you mean. The acting was phenomenal. Yeah, I know what you mean. The acting was phenomenal. I know what you mean is such a wonderfully common and human phrase, isn't it? And often there's a very slight natural pause right before the acting. Feel that subtle dip in tone, indicating a moment of thoughtful consideration. Try to embody that quiet reflection. Finally, let's tackle making plans and suggestions. Here, we'll practice some highly functional everyday language. Pay close attention to the polite way suggestions are extended and how the future tense is naturally woven into the conversation. Are you free later? Maybe we could grab some coffee? Are you free later? Maybe we could grab some coffee? Observe how could grab some coffee is delivered with a gentle, inviting, often slightly rising tone. It transforms a simple question into a soft suggestion, not a demanding imperative. This nuance is key for polite interaction. Sounds good to me. What time works best? Sounds good to me. What time works best? Sounds good to me is such an intrinsically natural way to express agreement in English, isn't it? And what time works best carries that perfectly upward intonation of a polite inquiry, inviting collaboration rather than forcing a decision. So now that we've experienced shadowing in action, the big question is, how do you ensure this powerful practice becomes a consistent, almost second nature part of your English learning adventure? Because let me tell you, Consistency is the undisputed king when it comes to witnessing tangible, lasting results. My first practical piece of advice is to embrace daily micro-sessions. You absolutely do not need to dedicate an entire hour to shadowing every day. Even a mere 5 to 10 minutes can make an astonishing difference over time. Think about those fragmented moments in your day. While you're getting ready in the morning, during your daily commute on the bus or train, or even while you're engaged in simple household chores. Grab a short segment from a podcast you enjoy, a brief news clip, or even just a few lines from a TV show you're watching, and simply shadow it. Short, highly focused bursts of practice are often far more effective and sustainable than long, infrequent sessions that leave you feeling drained. Next, let's talk about using subtitles, but strategically. When you're initially encountering a brand new phrase or sentence structure, having English subtitles on can be incredibly helpful. You can visually connect the written words to the sounds you're hearing, which can solidify your understanding. However, and this is crucial, do not become overly reliant on them. Once you feel somewhat familiar with a particular audio segment, challenge yourself to shadow it without any subtitles. This intentional removal of visual cues forces your brain to rely purely on its auditory processing and mimicry skills. The ultimate goal, you see, is to move beyond simply reading along and to genuinely listen and reproduce the spoken language naturally. This next tip might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but it is unequivocally one of the most effective. Record yourself and then listen back. Grab your phone or your computer and use its recording function to capture your voice as you shadow. Then, with a critical yet non-judgmental ear, listen back and compare your voice to the original speakers. Ask yourself, am I truly matching their rhythm? Is my intonation remarkably similar? Are there any specific sounds I'm consistently mispronouncing or struggling with? Do I sound natural or a bit stiff and forced? This self-correction mechanism is an absolutely invaluable tool. It provides concrete, actionable feedback that your ears alone might simply miss in the moment. Remember, this isn't about being critical of yourself. It's about being analytical. It's a powerful learning tool, not a harsh judgment. Furthermore, remember to don't just shadow, understand and reuse. While we've established that the initial goal isn't deep comprehension, once you've completed your shadowing practice of a segment, make a conscious effort to go back and analyze it thoroughly. Look up any new words or unfamiliar phrases. Make sure you fully grasp the context in which they were used. And then, here's the key step. Make a deliberate effort to use those very same phrases or expressions in your own speaking or writing later on that day. This process seamlessly transitions the language from passive recognition in your mind to active production. For example, if you just shadowed the phrase "sounds good to me," make a conscious point to use that exact phrase the next time you agree with someone. Another helpful suggestion, if it's feasible for you, is to find a shadowing partner. If you happen to have a friend who is also diligently learning English, you could try practicing shadowing together. You could even record each other and offer constructive, supportive feedback. Learning with a partner can infuse an element of fun and also provide that much-needed sense of accountability, keeping you both motivated. And finally, my last tip for integrating shadowing is to vary your sources. Don't limit yourself to just one type of audio or one specific speaker. Exposing yourself to a diverse range of voices, different accents, And various speaking styles will undeniably make your English far more versatile and adaptable. Listen to both men and women, younger and older speakers, and even people from different regions if you feel comfortable with the slight variations in their accents. This broadens your auditory palette and equips you to navigate a wider array of real-life conversations with ease. We've delved deep into the how of shadowing, but let's take a moment to quickly summarize the profound why. Why is shadowing such an incredibly powerful tool, extending far beyond merely improving your pronunciation? Firstly, shadowing significantly boosts your listening comprehension. When you are actively striving to reproduce sounds, your ears become remarkably attuned to the intricacies of spoken English. You'll pick up on natural reductions, like gonna for going to, and various contractions that are commonplace in everyday speech. This deep, active engagement profoundly enhances your ability to understand spoken English. You're no longer just passively hearing, you're actively dissecting and absorbing. Secondly, and this is truly massive for sounding natural and fluent, shadowing develops your natural speech rhythm and intonation. English is what we call a stress-timed language, meaning certain words are naturally stressed, while others are reduced or flow quickly. Shadowing helps you internalize this inherent rhythm, making your speech sound far less choppy and significantly more melodic. It's akin to learning the innate music of the language, allowing your words to dance rather than merely march. Thirdly, shadowing powerfully enhances your vocabulary and grammar acquisition, all within context. When you engage in shadowing, you're frequently repeating entire phrases and complete sentences. This means you're absorbing complex grammar structures and acquiring new vocabulary in their natural context, which is exponentially more effective than memorizing isolated words or abstract grammatical rules. You learn precisely how words naturally combine, how they coexist in meaningful chunks of language that are ready for immediate use. Fourth, and perhaps most immediately gratifying, shadowing directly improves your overall fluency and dramatically boosts your confidence. The more consistently you practice speaking, even if it's initially through mimicry, the more comfortable and agile your mouth and brain become at producing English sounds. This repeated, deliberate practice builds crucial muscle memory, not just in your tongue and lips, but in the neural pathways of your brain. As your pronunciation refines and you gain a greater sense of control over your own speech, your confidence in speaking English will quite naturally skyrocket. You'll find yourself hesitating far less and expressing yourself with newfound freedom and ease. And finally, shadowing remarkably reduces your thinking time. When you shadow regularly, you begin to internalize a vast array of common phrases and essential sentence patterns. This remarkable internalization reduces the mental effort you spend translating in your head or desperately searching for the right words in the midst of a conversation. You become significantly more spontaneous because those natural patterns are readily available and accessible in your active memory. It makes your responses quicker, smoother, and far more automatic, allowing for truly effortless communication. Shadowing, my friends, is not some miraculous overnight solution. But it is, without a shadow of a doubt, an extraordinarily effective and often underutilized tool in your magnificent journey towards English fluency. It demands consistent, dedicated effort, yes. But the rewards, believe me, are truly immense. Remember, the ultimate goal is never to achieve absolute perfection from day one. No, the true goal is consistent progress, gradual improvement. Every single time you engage in shadowing, you are actively forging a stronger, more resilient connection between your ears, your brain, and your mouth. You are meticulously training yourself to speak English, not just correctly, but organically, clearly, and with that undeniable, authentic human touch that makes all the difference. So I wholeheartedly encourage you right now to select a short audio clip today, something that you genuinely enjoy listening to, and simply try shadowing for just 5 minutes. Release any worries about making errors. Just immerse yourself in the process of mimicking the sound, the natural rhythm, and the captivating intonation. You might just be utterly astonished at how quickly you begin to both hear and feel the profound difference. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And, of course, subscribe to English Active Listening for even more insightful tips and practical practice sessions. And I'd absolutely love to hear from you in the comments section below. Have you ever tried shadowing before? What are your personal favorite audio sources for your practice? I'm genuinely eager to hear about your experiences. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. You've absolutely got this. I'll see you in our next video.